his hat anyway.
Yeah.
It's like
Trucker
I
hat
really
style.
see. Yeah, I was seeing something like that.
What brand is that hat?
None of your business.
It is my business.
Dang it, man.
There's the hair. Hugo. Hugo's here.
It's Richardson.
We got it. Pillow help. I think the pillow helps.
Yeah,
Our arms aren't touching.
Less gay.
When we feel the hair rubbing. Are we watching it? Is it on right
It's
now?
on.
Oh, we're on right
Good
now?
morning.
Oh. Hello.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Hello.
I said something about gayness, so they're definitely gonna.
Yeah, we probably
They're gonna pull it anyways. To all the Facebook people watching this, watch your video today or join YouTube because they've been pulling our videos. Too much Jesus, they don't like it.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
anyways, all right.
It's just really bad.
Yeah, it's horrible
Boring
preaching.
stuff.
Every
off
time
the line.
Danny preaches, it's just it's like a NyQuil shot. You know, it's all right.
No.
I have not reached my limit.
They
my,
what? What
my
happened
call.
is they gave up on Phil's message because it was 5 hours long.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't watch this whole thing.
5 hours.
Look at my genuine shame.
Oh, no. Don't be ashamed.
Like we can't.
I'm ashamed of my
examine-
20-minute sermons.
We can't examine this
can't
That
even-
was a
message.
long time.
I used to do 20-minute sermons. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even preach for an hour. And the other day,
Shame.
I preached for an hour and a half. I was like, I'm on my way. I've reached past an hour,
Robert's like,
bro.
he's gonna try to preach 5 hours.
No, Daddy.
You want to be
no.
bored? Let me preach for 5 hours. I'm gonna have things to say. I'm just talking.
There was a.
It's like a counseling shit.
Just
That's
keep
what
saying
he
the
starts
same
talking-
thing over and over
he starts
again.
talking about his mom and his past and everything in the message.
I'm gonna tell you my whole life.
Let me,
Do you want to test to make sure this is?
I told you I don't have Facebook.
Oh, I have it. Sorry.
You have to do.
Yeah,
I have to do my own. I got it.
It's on you, man.
See if we can. Oh, what's that?
Bear with
You
us.
have it on. You don't have it on night mode, man. You should have it on night mode.
Why? For my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the hair.
Oh. Your hair okay?
Yeah.
We'll just do this. Were you talking?
Let me put it
I
down.
could pass it.
In there, you know.
I'm gonna talk at your boob.
Oh, don't say that.
It's pectorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, his muscles.
All right, we're gonna do a discussion today, and we're wearing hats. Don't stone us.
Our hairs are all bad.
Robert's hair is
Well, we gotta
horrible.
take
We have
it.
to support Robert because his hair is so
Some
bad.
of us don't have hair, so.
Yes, that's true. Ouch. Ouch.
That's
Wait.
what you get, bro.
I'm ashamed. But
I'll
you,
take
you,
mine off.
Making
when
fun
we-
you
of my
can't see
hair.
my baldness.
Making fun of my hair.
It's gonna be right there.
Everybody's gonna think, what great hair they all have, except for Philip.
Beard.
You got a
Focus
beard.
on the
Yeah,
beard.
he's got the beard.
All right,
I'm gonna use my testosterone.
chest hair.
Move it down.
That's funny.
Robert used up all of
I
his
know.
on the top of his head. He can't grow a beard.
I'm like a child right here.
Patchy.
so.
Hey, Patsy.
His whole
14-year-old.
body's smooth like a seal.
I know 14-year-olds with better beards.
No, I like your beard, and it's kind of red, so I feel.
Don't you patronize me, sir.
I do.
It's red. It's
I like,
different.
I like the Barbarossa, bro.
Barbarossa.
Barbarossa.
All
All
right.
right, Danny.
All right, we're gonna have a discussion type sermon today.
We're gonna pray.
You gonna pray first?
I was just about to pray
Oh.
before you interrupted me.
It's not an interruption. It's a discussion.
Yeah, Danny.
You invited us to interrupt you.
I'm new. I'm new to
I'm
this.
sorry, I don't want to.
He's like, you weren't supposed to talk right
He
there.
just starts preaching. All right.
Sitting there. That's funny.
Hey, I've been to a church like that had people sitting behind the pastor, man.
Yeah.
Do they talk?
No.
Yeah, they stand up.
Oh yeah. Preach.
Preach.
Throw oil at the pastor.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Mm.
It's me.
They give them all hand towels
Just
and they just wave.
Fall
their
out in the
tails.
spirit on the stage. Power of God.
Hey man, I won't even be embarrassed if I fall out in the spirit. If you preach that good, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Take it.
Don't hold your breath. You ain't
That's one way
falling.
to fall out, though.
You ain't falling out the window today, bro. I fall out the window with your sermons though. 5 hours.
I could do something, bro.
That's
Yeah, bro.
true.
Don't let me.
Yeah, get your
Don't
faith
Help me
let
up,
with
me-
my
bro.
unbelief.
Yeah, get your faith up.
I believe. Help me with my unbelief.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pray. Lord, thank you for this word that you shared with me. I just pray that it would be helpful to us as we're going into our week, into our days, to recognize weak points of our life. God, help us to recognize false peace in our life, false structures that we need to tear down so that we can have the real thing. I pray that the Holy Spirit would help each one of us and those who are listening, Lord, that He would speak into their spirits and help them, bringing things up in front of them, things that they can grab hold of and have conversation with you and relationship with you. I also pray that your conviction would be here, that your encouragement will be here, and that we would give you consent today to search through our hearts, God, and to pull up any wicked aroma, any wicked thing that we're building or grabbing a hold of, and that, God, we'd find encouragement because you're leading us forward as a shepherd, that we would follow you today and trust you today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so I put kind of the idea up there, a false peace versus true peace. I wrote down on here, demolishing a false peace. And so God was kind of giving me this idea. I didn't really there's different angles of this sermon, so we'll just go through them. And really just God was talking to me about the idea of control and how we really don't have any room for God to do a lot in our lives because we're trying to control our lives so that we don't have to walk through any difficult thing, any difficult faith, or to step out and walk with the Lord into the new things He's welcoming us. It's kind of like I grew up in a house where everything had to be in its place, you know? And it's this idea of control so that nothing gets erupted. So we can be kind of in a place where we're trying to control everything in our lives instead of leaving room for God to put His hands on our life. So there's really no space for God to challenge us because we're trying to build this fortress so that nothing bad ever happens, and we don't have to walk in fear of anything because we have our hands on every little thing, instead of, letting God be in control of our lives and letting God kind of lead us. If God was leading us, I was thinking of this example. Someone in our church, actually, I was praying for him, and it's kind of this idea where I have to work 12 hours a day. I have deadlines. I have to get all this work done because if I don't, my boss is going to be extremely pissed at me. I'm not going to do my job right. So there's this fear in this hamster wheel of someone running on this hamster wheel, and God's nowhere in sight. And if that person came to God and said, how do you want me to conduct my day every day? Then there would be, maybe God would, just as an example, maybe God would be like, I want you to work 8 hours only. And when that 8-hour timer goes, I want you to finish up what you're doing and stop and go enjoy your family or go enjoy different aspects of your life. And it's like, if
I have no idea who you're talking about. It's like a game of
Lizzie.
Is it a game? I wasn't gonna actually
It's okay.
say it, bro.
I know.
I was like,
We're all in this
it's
sermon,
like a
so
game of Clue. Open up the pack.
get out of
I wonder
here.
who it is.
Yeah,
Start naming everybody.
just to make Lizzie feel better,
Also,
I do that.
I just
I do it.
realized that
Hello.
Hello.
Not to bash anybody about work, because I do this. I'm so worried sometimes about realtors and all that, to where I overwork and I'm not looking at God and saying, what do you want me doing? But it's this idea of like, if we were to pray and God says at the 8 hour mark, have a timer. It goes off, finish up what you're doing, and then go enjoy the other things I've given you in your life. The moment you start obeying the Lord on that stuff, there's almost kind of like a war that's going to happen, because now the fear of man and your fear of what's going to happen is now invading your life, and you have to stand in a place where you have to trust the Lord and that He's going to take care of everything. Does that make sense?
I think that it's also like it's a fight too, because to you, when you complete all of these tasks that you think you have to finish, you think that's where your peace is going to come from.
Right.
If you get all your job things on time, if your boss is satisfied with you, if your kids are happy, you get everything ready for your kids, if your house is all in order, if all of these things are done, you're assuming that you accomplishing them and putting all this time towards that is actually going to bring you your peace.
Right.
And the problem is that never ever ends. It's just in this big old circle chasing peace just to work your butt off and
preaching my sermon, bro.
So
Oh,
like
sorry.
one of
sorry.
It's okay.
like one idea is
I've
like
been-
that peace is control, or false peace is control.
Yeah.
This may take you way off the script, but I was thinking about like there's also false peace in like secrets.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like God will take you out of control and like, no, I want to keep this under control. It's like God's going to take you out and be like, I'm in control. We're doing this. And you're like, my plan. But people conversation or when I talk about it, it's usually how can I spin this? Keep it out of discussion, or keep it as a joke, or keep it light, or whatever. And I think that's a false piece. It's like the idea that if I could just control, I guess it's control too, but control the information about me, control my reputation, control how people are going to judge me, that would be peace. And that's what people think is like when they're in a situation like that where they're afraid of that, they're like, God, we got to get control of what everybody's thinking. And God's like, I'm not going to give you peace through that. You know, it's like when people think of martyrdom, it's always like Braveheart or something, where it's like freedom, and all the people in the crowd are just like, he was a good man, you know. And it's like in reality, like they stripped your body naked and made fun of you, and you know, it was like Mussolini, bro. They were like just mocking your dead body and stomping on it, peeing on it, and it was like nobody thought like, look at this fool, you know. It's like martyrdom was, you know, ultimate rejection by your people. Like when Jesus was on the cross and they're like, let's see if Elijah comes to save him, they're like mocking him. It wasn't, we put the holy music on, you know, but it's like it was humiliation. And you had to have a look at God where it's like, my peace comes from the fact that God alone is my judge, and he's approving of what's going on with me, and the truth will triumph over the appearances of the moment or whatever. But I think that's a big false piece, is like, I gotta get all my judges in order out here. I think that's why people control a lot of things, and they're like, part of it's like, I don't want to be living under a bridge, but I think part of it is also, how are people going to see me? How's my family going to see me? How are people going to talk about me? And that's a lot of the false pieces. If I could just manage my reputation.
What are you talking about, bro?
Huh?
I know, right?
You are.
Reals, bro.
I do that.
Well, I am, but I mean, I think
I am actually.
I'm not going to say, oh, no, Danny,
well,
here it doesn't have that.
Gotta make Lizzie feel better.
I know, bro.
I'm getting poked too, Lizzie.
Just trying to,
No,
trying
but I
to
think,
shift it a different direction, so it's not pointed at us.
no, I was thinking about it a lot in terms of like why, like not to complain about it, but why we get jokey and lighthearted. Like,
Yeah.
when something serious is in the room, maybe hang out one night and it doesn't come up. It's like, it's weird, man. I intended to bring this up, or I know that Robert had something going on and he didn't bring it up. And I think there was a moment when he thought about it. It's like, why is that? And I think it comes down to that impulse. There's a fear of breaking the false peace. There's a fear of like, you got to go into it, and I'm going to have to open up this thing and talk about it. And, you know, it's like, maybe everybody knows, like, I'm going to make up a random example, but somebody's marriage is in trouble or something. And it's like, maybe everybody knows, and you're like, I'm pretty sure they all know that this is going on in my life. But there's something about opening it up, and you're like, they're going to, if I go, yeah, this is what's, I'm going to have to hear them talk about it. And they're going to, you know, if I ask them to pray for me, I got to sit through that. And like, there's real peace on the other side, which is you're walking with God and you're walking with the church, and things are maybe slowly but getting better in your marriage over time because of that. But then there's the false piece of maybe they don't really know that much. Maybe they'll forget. Maybe we'll just never talk about it. Maybe I'll throw out this thing. Like, I know that God brought, so maybe I'll throw out this thing. Oh yeah, guys, I'm really working on that. And we had a victory yesterday. We had a victory. And really, it's just like, I'm going to get everybody off the scent of that, and it'll go away. And then here's the false piece, and the false piece is just, let's hide in the dark. Let's go back into the darkness and hide. And it's like, yeah, man, I think that real peace is being in the light and God being in control. But then there's this very tempting dark corner of your life where it's like, I'm in control, and I can't tell anyone about it because it's wrong, but I'm in control, and I'm having problems and other things, but I think I can look pretty good in this situation, and I'll fix it before anyone finds out what's really going on. And I think that's so constant in people's minds.
I think that's a big one right there, where it's, I'll fix it before, because that rings true in my mind. I'll fix it before anybody finds out what's going on, or before it explodes to something bigger, or, you know. And I think that's a big problem with people. I know it is with me. Is the idea that we could fix those things on our own, or we can do it, you know. And the thing is like, a lot of that, you get help when it's out in the light, you know. Like,
and healing.
Yeah, you get healing, and it's like your brothers will come alongside you. If it's out, then your brothers can help you with it to show you what God has, you know, for you in that moment.
And just
but I know I get stuck in that
and the relief from so much tension. There's so much tension when you're like, I hope nobody talks about this. It'd be so embarrassing if this comes up. Or, it doesn't have to be a huge thing even, but it's just like,
I don't even think about embarrassing. I think about just looking at the other person as though that they have messed up, or that the fear of them looking at you differently kind of deal, like you're a sinner.
But
almost,
just like, like we could take it down to really, you know, I don't know what the word is. Not a heavy, maybe the most heavy issue. It could just be like, I just haven't woken up to pray in like this week. But and I come around my brothers, it's like I have a choice of whether I'm going to whitewash the tomb and play spiritual at this moment. And they're like, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm fine. Yeah, but yeah, things are going, you know. Or to come clean and be like, yeah, and invite people into the problem, essentially. That's, you know, you're like, here it is. Talk about it if you want. And it's, I think that there's a lot of peace with God in transparency. And it's like one of the main things is when I see people that are really in bondage to the enemy, it's almost always giant secrets. I have to keep a secret here. I was abused as a kid. I can't tell anybody. It's like there's these secrets, but how does the devil get you to keep this secret in your life? And it's like that true peace that Jesus wants to have for us is living in accord with it, you know. And God's way of doing that is to flip that rule upside down. And it's just something we're like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just there's a resistance. There's a lot of momentum behind the other pattern. And so it's like you would really have to flip flop your life to be like, oh, my instinct is to be open about what's going on. Just let it out, you know?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard people kind of talk about honesty and truthfulness in the church, and then they go, but you know, you need prudence, you need to be careful about who you share stuff with, and all these things. It's like I get that, it makes sense on some level, but also feels like an escape hatch a little bit. Like, yeah, so you can always talk yourself into the, well, it wouldn't be prudent to
They'd
share
never
that.
go find the trustworthy person.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, they could always find a reason why this wouldn't be a prudent choice in this situation with this person, or you know, it
Yeah.
involves this person, and I don't want to embarrass them, or involves, you know, I grew up in an abusive home, but I don't want to blast my parents because I'm supposed to honor my father and mother or something. There's always some shifty thing, and I think like it is this is probably just where I'm coming from in my own calling, but there is a primal allegiance to the truth where it's like, if we're not open and telling the truth, how can we build anything from any other foundation? Then this is truth, and God's going to deal with the truth no matter how bad it is, no matter how screwed up it is.
yeah.
We don't have to hide the truth from God. We can't really, but I mean, we can be like, I'm not talking to you about this.
Mhm.
And I think that's ultimately the heart. Like, it starts out with other people, but man, if you're not talking to your friends and your brothers, then pretty soon you're not really talking to your wife, and then you're not talking to God about it either. It just kind of closes in. And then who are you talking to? You're talking to somebody who's just the devil 24 hours a day in your head, twisting that thing up. And I see it all the time where it's like somebody finally has that healing moment where they share their big secret, and they just think the sky's about to fall down, and they take a breath, take a plunge. I'm about to die, you know, and it's not what they think it is. It's because they've been listening to the devil's tape for maybe years, and they finally say it out loud, and it's like, God doesn't feel that way. Your friends don't feel that way. Your wife doesn't feel that way. It's just your humanity showing, you know what, that's not the biggest problem in the world. In fact, that's the only solution to your humanity, is to bring it into the light and to bring it before God.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you know, churches are full of secrets, man.
Mhm.
You really think of all the churches you've been into your life, they're just full of them. And the deeper you get into ministry in a church, the more secrets. Like, oh, well, we know what's going on with this guy. We know it. And it's like, then you think of John the Baptist, and he's like, you want to get right with God? Public confession of sin. And they're just like standing at the banks telling everybody their sin. Like, you really afraid of hell? Tell everybody your sin, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, I think there's probably some deep liberation in that, you know. And I'm not saying that there isn't prudence and you talk to God about it, but that's not really what people say. They don't say you should talk to God and make sure that He wants you to share. They say you should think about how it could go bad.
Yeah.
You should think, what if that person doesn't keep their mouth shut? What if they use it against you? And you, out of fear, you should figure out who you should tell, or whether it should be open. And in my experience, a lot of times God's just like, testimony, turn it into a testimony, put it out there for everybody. And I think you got to be prayerful about it. But that's the point, is that should be in submission to God, not to fear, which is ultimately, you know, sort of the engine that the devil's using most of the time.
Did you have a message that you wanted to preach? I'm just
Part
joking.
of it was that, yeah.
I'm just joking, man.
No, this is just a template to
I
go
just
where
kidding,
you
bro.
want to go, I guess. But yeah,
I'm
no.
waiting for you to give the testimony, bro.
Ah.
Open up, Robert. Take your
Whoa,
secrets out.
right now.
Right now.
On camera.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm just gonna say I'm joking.
but yeah, I just think there is a lot of control, like in most of the things that there's a false peace in, you know. There's this idea of that it's all on me, and it's like we're trying to control the outcome, you know. We're trying to control what it looks like. We're trying to control, really, the way I was looking at it is like, we don't really want to follow God in the spirit, because His way is not, there's gonna be some kind of war with the thing that I've been building up, you know. He's not gonna let your false peace, and really, you can't really have God's peace if you're building a false peace. Like, God promises that when you're walking through difficulties, His peace will be there. So it's like, we're trying to build up our life to where we don't have trouble and we don't have challenges, and we're just very, very comfortable. We're comfortable Christians, you know. We don't really want to follow God into the difficulties or the stretching, you know, because we're building this safe place. And it was like God was showing me like the whole idea of like walking on the water like Peter, but like we're we don't want to get out of the boat. We want to be comfortable. We're comfortable in the boat. The wind's still there. The troubles are still there, but because we have the boat and we're in the boat, we feel safer, you know. And it's not really true. It's an illusion that we've built up in our lives, you know.
It's the tower. It's like the
Yeah.
Tower of Babel thing. It's like, well, I got the boat. I used to just be treading water, but I built this boat, and it's
Yeah.
like this dream that if I get all my stuff,
Yeah.
and I get my plans, and I get enough money saved, and I do this and I do that, eventually peace. And
Yeah.
it's like God's like, I'm gonna burn all of it.
I'm gonna burn it all. If you really want me to lead you, I'm
Yeah.
gonna destroy all that. I'm not gonna let you have that.
It's like the issue with the rich young ruler is he's like, I've been building
Well,
generationally trying to build up this peace, and we're going to get into a position of power as a family. We're rulers. We got this stuff. And Jesus is like, you should throw all that away and just follow me.
me and trust me.
I'll give you peace if you're just obedient to me. And it's like, but I got to be obedient to all my stuff or I'll lose it, and then I won't have my false peace.
It's like the whole idea of like someone working their whole life for retirement, you know? I was thinking about that. Like, how many people, their idea of peace is like, I'm going to turn 60 or 70. I think it's like 75 nowadays. They keep extending it. And I'm going to save and I'm going to work my butt off, you know, 40 to 60 hours a week. And I'm going to save this little bit of money and it's comfortably in the bank so that when I get older, which is like crazy because it's like the end of your life, you're almost dead. So you're wasting your whole life for this moment where you're almost dead to sip Mai Tais on the beach or whatever your dream is. And most people never get that. You know, my dad saved and he had this retirement plan, and then my mom got sick and he had to throw all his dreams away. And it's like this fake salvation, this fake uh, safety place in the future. And then you're jeopardizing and sacrificing your whole life for that tower or whatever. You know, it's like I'm gonna sacrifice my family and my calling and all these things because I'm working for this. I'm not really working for God's will and what he wants, you know. Yeah. And it's crazy. Like we do that all over the place and we're trying to control all this stuff. And it's like we're in the boat and we feel safe, but it's like, what does Peter do? Peter says, if that's you out there, call me. And God and Jesus says, come. But we don't really look out there and we're not really going, if that's you, call me out. If that's you, you know, we're safe in our boat and we're not looking up and looking out because we've built this little fake peace place and we don't want God to destroy it because we're so fearful and we have our definition of it, you know?
Well, and here's a more, take that big example of like your life and then retirement at the end, shrink it down to the day, you know. Right. A lot of people going to work and they're working for their retirement at the end of the night. They're going to come home, I'm going to sit on my couch, I'm going to finally be done taking care of the kids, and we'll finally be able to, and I'm working for this moment of escape at the end of the day, and it's just as hollow and meaningless and
yeah,
and a false paradise and a false peace as anything else. But it's like, that's why they don't have time for God. That's why they're not open to the Lord's leadership or movement. It's like, I got a plan, God, that's going to get me to that couch at the end of the night. I can't just be letting you lead me some weird direction today because I got to get to that couch. I'm trying to get
my
there.
me time, yeah.
I got my crosshairs locked in, and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this and this and this. And a lot of times we have a plan. We have a plan, and it might be so small that it doesn't seem like it could be messing things up. But it's like if you're basically following that same small plan day after day after day, and then, I got a slightly different plan that I follow on Saturdays because it's my day off, but it's still the same kind of me chasing this thing. Like I'm building my oasis. It's not that
Yeah.
God's leading me and He has an oasis for me here and there, and a place of rest and a place of restoration. It's like I'm planning for that. I'm planning my escape.
Yeah. It's real.
It gets more real on that. For me, it hits more on the small example because it's like,
Yeah, especially
did
if
I
you're
do
not
that?
one of
Did I
those
do that
people.
yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Especially you're
the
not
day
one of
to
those
day.
people saving for retirement, obsessing about it. It's like you have your little false pieces, and it's like if it doesn't work out, if your kids destroy the false piece or something, then it's just like irritability or whatever, you know. And selfish. It's like, oh, you have an opportunity to maybe serve your family or your wife or do something for God, and it's like that gets sacrificed for that little spot on the couch, you know.
well,
And
then
it's
it's
unloving.
like you're like, I was holding my breath to get here, so I didn't really do any of it the way that God would have me do it.
Yeah, it's navigating your whole day. It's
I
pulling you.
I shrank everything down. Really, I'm acting like, well, I did all this other stuff to get here, but really, my whole heart was here the whole time. I've been here the whole
That
day.
was the goal of the day. Yeah,
I've been here all day long, and
Yeah.
I finally got here.
yeah,
And I think that's always going to mess it up.
yeah. True.
You know, it's going to mess up whether, you know, your conscience is going to be bothered or you just feel this is hollow. This is a hollow. This is an idol.
It's an idol. Yeah.
Turning into an idol now, and I'm not going to. So I'm going to double down. I'm going to find something else to add to it.
That's real. Yeah.
Stretch it out longer. Stay up late.
Yeah.
Eat a bunch of nachos.
This guy going inside. I'll bring up this thing God told me, be like, yeah, it's kind of like you. Freaking prophets. man.
I'm teaching that pastor angle where it's like everything God teaches you. Go, oh, I know a sheep like that.
Yeah, no, I know one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
You're pulling the thorn right out.
Real though, man. But that's real though, like that whole little kingdom of peace that what you think is your peace, and that's never really satisfying. It's always like needing more and more of
Yeah.
that type of peace, you know, because it's not real. It's almost like how when Jesus says, "You'll thirst again," you know. I have water that, you know, that'll make you'll never thirst again. But yet the opposite of that, the flesh, you know, the other spiritual water we get is like we're always thirsty. We're always needing more of that
Well,
type of false peace. You
What
know?
is that? That's like Isaiah, where he's like, you abandon the springs of living water to dig a cistern. It's a natural phenomena here.
Yeah.
I'm springing, and you go over here and you dig a cistern. You do the work to create your false peace, and then it's a leaky cistern that doesn't actually hold any. It's just mud at the bottom, and you're sucking out of a little muddy puddle.
Yeah.
And here's walking with Jesus in real peace, and you just go, I'd rather build it myself. I don't want to go.
That's crazy.
I don't
yeah.
want his thing. 'Cause I feel more comfortable. I've always believed my thing's better.
Yeah.
That's a crazy
That
level
is
of faith.
crazy. I was just gonna say.
Is like when you think about how persistently you've screwed up things in your life. Like every time I might do something,
you still want to do it.
and you're like, but still, if I gotta trust somebody, I think I'm going with me again. And God's just like, you again? Give me a shot, dude. And you're just like, nah, it's too risky. Gonna go with constant failure over here. Sounds like a better call.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, it's like that Seinfeld episode where somebody was like, George, you suck so bad. You should just do the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
That's
almost
real.
like that should be at that level where it's like you can bet that your instinct is wrong. But
Yeah.
you still show up and do it again.
Yeah, and then it just becomes more and more and more like time consuming, and you're trying to keep this thing from collapsing, you know, even though it's nothing, you know, but it's like, well, I'm going to devote all my day to try to keep this from tumbling over, you know, and it's just like,
and it's a little bit of that sunk lost thing, you know, where it's like you've invested so much into this that you can't let it go. It's like the rich young ruler is like, just let it go. It's not working, man. You're still hungry for salvation. You got the money, you got the position, You built up to, there's like mega church pastors, like you got here and it's not it, is
It's
it?
not it. Yeah.
And to have the cojones to be like, I'm
Let
just
it
gonna
all
let
go.
it go. It's hard because you think, but I invested all this. And it's like, if you dug a cistern and didn't hold any water and you tried to patch it, it just keeps forming new. At some point, you just I just gotta throw this thing away.
Surrender
it's
it.
just garbage. It's a false peace, but it's like false peace is a little bit better than just outright chaos
Yeah.
in your life. So you're like, I don't want to let go of my false peace because that's something.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
better.
also
It's like you're on a boat that's about to sink, Peter, but at least I'm not in the water yet.
Mhm.
And then Jesus is like, get out of the boat.
Yeah.
Get out
Like
of the
Jesus
boat, yeah.
doesn't want you in the boat. He wants you to walk on the water, but you want to be in the boat.
Yeah.
And even though you can tell this boat's probably going to sink in the next 10 minutes, like, but I don't want to get out early.
Yeah.
But everything that Jesus does is
I
basically.
still want my 10 minutes.
Yeah,
of
it's like
being in
you're
this
like
boat,
you
yeah.
know you're going to die one day,
Yeah.
but I don't want to go and maybe get myself killed today. I
Yeah.
want to live.
Yeah.
I'll dig the hole. The killer's got the gun. I'll dig the hole to live another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
In 5 minutes of digging a hole, that's what you. But it's like you'll do it because you just are so afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Stretch it a
think
little bit longer.
one of the angles God was showing me is that we stay in the boat. We don't look for God to call us out on the waters because we're so scared of failure.
Well, we're
It's
probably
this-
working on the boat. We're like,
Yeah.
I need to work on this boat.
Stop it
I
from
think
sinking.
I think it's not just fear of failure, but a fear of like losing all that we. It's like losing what you like, what you love. You know what I mean? It's like you love yourself so much, or you love this so much that you don't want to give it up, and you're not. That love isn't pointed at God, and that's not the greater love there. It's the pointed at.
But I think that's
Mm,
escapism. I think
Yeah.
it's like you love the illusion of that thing.
Mm,
Because I think most people that are in a control situation and they're working on the boat and they're just like, the worse the storm gets, the more they work on the boat. They're not dumb. They could look up at the storm and say, there is no way I can build a boat that's stronger than friggin' nature, man. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like, you can look at your life and say, there is no way that I can prepare enough or earn enough money or do whatever that I'm untouchable. It's just not true. Like,
Yeah.
the peace isn't going to come from there. I know that. But instead of they don't want to face it. They know that that's what they'll see. On some
Yeah.
level, I know if I look into the storm, I will realize I'm powerless against the storm.
Yeah.
And I go, I will rather work until I'm half dead and keep pretending that maybe I can outwork the storm.
Yeah.
And then the dimension you're talking about is when you realize I can't even fix the boat right.
Yeah.
I can't even do. So eventually I'm just like, I'm going to play tic-tac-toe on a board and just see if I could so focus into it that this disappears.
yeah.
And then that's sacred. For a moment, I forgot I was in the storm, and that's all I want to live for,
Yeah.
But what God wants us to do is look at the storm and despair of us being the answer. Be like, we are freaking doomed
Yeah.
without Him stepping in. And until you're willing to look at the storm, you're not going to see Jesus out in that storm. And that's why people don't want to look at the storm, because the storm it's like the law. People don't really want to look into it because the ultimate answer of the law is you cannot save yourself.
Mm.
And we just don't want to let go of that.
Yeah.
And
And
so
it's like
that's
you're not going to look into the moment of failure that is coming. You're going to keep saying, well, I'm working here and I'm going to get a few more steps. I'm not going to lift up my eyes. Like, there is the failure. There's me dying at
Mhm.
82 no matter
Yeah.
what I do. You never want to, people don't want to look into the eye of the storm. But if you look into the eye of the storm, that place where I cannot is exactly where you're going to find Jesus saying, but with me you can.
So that's the fear. Then
That's where
the
you
looking
take
into
some,
looking to the
some
failure,
huevos
and
to
that's
look
the fear.
into it,
That's what he's saying.
was trying to say.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, no, it's like, well, it's just
Yeah.
if you know that there's failure out there,
Yeah.
it's inevitable. You're not Jesus, right? You're gonna try to keep your eyes down and not look out and
Yeah.
not hear.
Yeah.
Even if you hear the call, come out to me.
Yeah.
You're gonna get busy about everything else and try to keep this fortress built up real distracted, like,
Yeah.
I'm too busy to go. How could I ever do that? I have all this to do. I'm too busy or
You
whatever.
can feel like the eyes of Jesus looking at you.
Yeah.
Look up at me and you're like,
I can't.
That's
can't.
I had that
gotta do
feeling the
this.
other day. I was
gotta
busy,
do
busy,
this.
busy, and I could tell God wanted to talk to me about something. And I could just feel this prompt. It wasn't even like the Spirit's calling me. It's just like Jesus was just like, are we going to talk today or something, you know? And I was just busy getting to the goal of my day, which was the couch, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, but it's like we fear failure because we don't look at failure through the eyes of Christ. Like Peter failed, right? At some point, he walked on water for a minute, but then he started to sink. But he would have never known. Peter had a very high opinion of himself. He would have never known that he was weak and that he was a doubtful person until he started sinking. Jesus then approaches and teaches him, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? He was able to see his humanity when he sank, but he was also, that's an opportunity for God to teach him about where he went wrong. And we don't ever get there. We're so scared of going out on the water and doing the things God's called us to do. But because of that, we never really grow in those areas because we're so busy trying to keep on.
Because that question, like, why did you doubt? I think that's a deep question.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at it, I think the lesson was, if we're at least how we're coming at it was, look into the storm and realize I'm there.
Right.
And he really didn't. Like, he asked Jesus to call him out on the water.
Yeah.
But it was almost like in his heart he was lusting for the power for control.
Yeah.
It was like he was like, maybe I can face this. And he started walking on the water, but then it's me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm using God to do this. And then when he sees another wave coming, I don't think I can handle this barely, but I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah.
And so it's like you take the spiritual thing of walking with God and you begin to suck it into that same error.
Yeah.
And then you come into that moment. And Jesus was basically saying, like, your life isn't supposed to be you worrying about how you're going to handle the storm. That's my job, is to worry about how to handle the storm.
Bingo.
Your job is supposed to be like, I hope I can meet with Jesus today. I think something cool will happen if I find him out there. And it's like, and if you look up, you will find me there. It's just, you've trained yourself to think, my life is about defeating an undefeatable enemy. And so I'm constantly in a state of total desperation. It's like, it's, you know, I'm not saying that in human nature it's possible to be holy, but I guarantee you're not going to be holy while you're drowning, because you don't care about anything, but you will drown your kid next to you to try to get air. You'll pull your uncle under the water and be like, I need to breathe. And that's what's people living on the edge of desperation all the time. And Jesus is like, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. But here's the part that you have to learn to do. You got to let go of your life and let it be my life. You got to let go of the storm and say, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's just like, no, I'm going to do all those things.
Yeah.
The question of your life is, will you meet me out where I am? Will you respond to me? Will you come and be with me?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. Is like when I was saying in the beginning, we don't have a lot of room for God because we're controlling everything. And when we go out on the water, there's a lot going on. Like, we don't even recognize the wind always, but when we step out and we're trying to follow God into something, we start to recognize the threats and the doubts and all these fears and all these things. And it's like our job is just to keep our eyes on Christ and do what he tells us to. All that other stuff is God's job. But we don't know how to do that. I think that's part of the learning curve, is like learning how, like, maybe God tells you to work 8 hours a day or something. It's his job to worry about how the outcome of that will be. Your job is to obey what he's saying and to be with him out there and learn what he's trying to teach you. But we go and we try to take God's job, and then we start drowning because it's like, that I didn't ask you to do any of that.
All the repercussions of obeying is up to God. Like, not to fear what the boss will do if you don't work enough hours.
What people will say.
How much money you'll make if you only work this amount of hours.
It's like Peter went out there and then he started drowning. He started to sink.
Yeah.
And what does the Lord do? First, he pulls him out of the water.
Right.
Then he puts him back in the boat. And then I don't remember whether the storm instantly stopped or whether they arrived at the shore. But the situation was resolved. And Peter had nothing to do with any of that.
Right.
Like, he cried out, help me. You know, maybe in total faithlessness.
Yeah.
but God and there's like, why did you doubt? And then here's there's a unspoken teaching there where Jesus takes care of all these things that they're like he already like Peter already proved I can't stop this storm. I can't fix the boat. I can't get the boat to the other side. We're gonna sink and drown here. I can't swim obviously because I started sinking and I instantly panicked. I can't walk on water except when Jesus allows me to, and even then I can somehow screw it up. So it's like there is this level of like, if Jesus isn't on my side, if he's not coming to save me, then I'm still, but it's like when you're so used to being screwed, like you will do something that doesn't make any sense just to keep yourself occupied. You know, it's like people who are just earning money, you know, like Warren Buffett or something. I'm earning another million. Dude, you're so freaking old. You can't take any of it with you. It's just like, but at some point, it's like I've lived my life chasing this thing to distract myself and to lie to myself that this is going to give me peace, and now I got the tiger by the tail. I know it's not a solution, but I don't want to let it go and let it bite me either, so I'm just going to keep myself in it. And then when God comes in, maybe there's a moment of clarity, but the instinct and the pattern is to push God into that same position and do the like, okay, maybe God will help me a little bit. What can Jesus add to my life that now I'll finally be able to, how can Jesus fix my marriage? How can Jesus fix my business? How can Jesus fix me so that I can now do these things? And it's like, it's a more complete fix than that.
Yeah.
Like God is like been in control the whole time. The only thing he hasn't been in control of is your heart.
Yeah.
And that's what he's really trying to do.
Yeah.
Like his goal is stilling the storm of your heart, getting your heart to where it's supposed to be. But we're obsessed with all the externals, and God's like, I'm not going to turn this into heaven. If I was going to turn this into heaven, I would have just taken you to heaven when you first came to me. You know, I'm put you in this situation because I need these storms to squeeze the boil, you know, to bring this stuff to the surface.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have the same goal as God most of the time.
Nope.
Because probably because that fear is still there. Probably because we just need to be, almost like we need to wake up and stare into the storm.
Yeah.
Until we see Jesus, until we finally are actually looking at it. Because I think we look at the edge of it. It's like Peter looked at the storm a little bit, but obviously not enough. Because once he was on the water, he saw something else about the storm.
Saw the wind.
There he starts sinking, you know,
Yeah.
because he hasn't really gone to the darkest. Like, you need to see into the abyss.
That's crazy.
Of your fear and see Jesus smiling back at you from there and being like, I got it.
I know that. That's
I got it. I'm already here.
That I try to avoid for sure.
Well, who doesn't, man?
Don't look at that storm, bro.
I'm preaching to myself
scary,
here, man. I don't
bro.
do that either.
You know how scary it is? That storm right there, bro. Woo, that's super scary.
No, I'm like,
and
I think I'm more like you, Robert, where like I didn't even put my faith in the hamster wheel so much as like, you know, maybe I could make a little imaginary world to escape in. Maybe I could just do drugs or watch TV or write stories, do that whole thing, be creative, be artistic, and all of it had that escapism thing where it was like, I have no hope that reality is going to turn out good, but maybe I can intoxicate myself in one way or another to forget it.
That's so crazy that's like,
I think it's a false, like, all those kind of things, whatever your thing is.
It's a false peace.
No. Well,
forget this sermon. How about if it was about real peace and false?
It's kind of like a false peace. No, I mean, one of the there's
no, not that idea. This idea.
Dang it, bro.
It's true peace versus false peace. And you're supposed to be like, oh, you're amazing.
The end.
Amazing.
No, it's like safety is one of the ideas that God gave me with peace. It's like, I'm safe here.
Yeah.
I'm not safe out there. I see the threat. I see the wind. I see me failing. But over here, I could build my little thing or escape or whatever, and I feel safe. But that's the false peace, is that you're not. It's an illusion. It's a deception. It's like you're more safe out in the water with Jesus in the midst of the waves and the wind than you are right here. You're setting yourself up
I got
for
something, bro.
For doom.
for you on this one, bro. You ready for this? I do. You ready for this?
Sure.
So, one of the biggest jobs of a father for a son is that the father encourages the son. So a little bit puffs the son up a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because you just want your kid to charge out and try hard things and do it. And the father's waiting for a moment when life just sort of like crushes his kid, when he's just like, I tried so hard and it blew up and there's, you know. And then the father climbs into the hole with his son and looks at him and he's like, and it's okay. Like he brings okayness into that
Everything's
situation.
fine, yeah.
It's still okay, man.
Mhm.
Nothing's, and it's like what real courage is it is realizing that no matter how bad this gets, it doesn't really count. Like this is not the real game. This is something
Right.
that we're doing in the this is the real heart of this. Like, and fathers do in different ways. Like you lost the big game and you could have went maybe made a career in baseball, but you lost it. Now the scout's talking to that other kid, and your dad goes along and he's like, but did you play it as a man? You know, he'll turn like, you stood up as a man and you lost well and you did it with honor.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like the samurai kind of idea where it's not even whether we win or lose this fight, but it's whether I live or die with honor in this situation kind of thing. But what was hitting me in the moment is like that's one of the big lessons that God as our Father is trying to teach us, is to take it. Like there is a part of the masculine heart where probably as a young man you're supposed to go into your deepest fear, and your dad is supposed to stand with you and be like, take it in. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
Boom.
And be like, all right, now let's climb out of it and do something else. And for the rest of your life, you can you just naturally put yourself there. You just take it like when you're looking at something, go like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen in this situation. And it plugs into like, whatever it is, I'm dying, or my kid's dying, or my wife is dying, or whatever it is. And instead of having that little boy mind that is, I want to run away to mommy and pretend it didn't happen, like that change over to where you walk with your father into the midst of it is the heart of it. And I think as a boy with a healthy father around, that's what would happen is you have the option at some point in your life. You're like, I could run to mom and cry and she'd be like, it's okay, baby, it's okay. Or I could go to my dad and he will take me through this with him and show me what it is.
Yep.
And most of us, we didn't have that season in our lives. We were never taught that. We never did that. And so God is trying to be our father. And what does he want us to do? Like you're saying, look into the storm, and he's calling you into it. He's like, come and stand with me right here. And sometimes it's mentally like, let me take you through this. All right, imagine if Heidi got really sick. Come with me. Let's go to the hospital bed. Let's stand here and look at it. Sometimes he'll be like, you're afraid of what would happen if you leverage your business too much. So tomorrow we're going to actually physically do that, and we're going to walk through it together. So it's like, I think there's a part of it where there is an immature piece that you have with your mom when you're a little boy. And then it's like when we're studying the archetypes, like that gets twisted. If you don't break off from your mom and grow under a father relationship the right way, the mom thing you can't stay with her, so you look for a mothering experience in something else, and it's drugs, it's addictive stuff, it's sex, it's all these different things, it's escapism, it's fantasies. All these things are a replacement for like the bosom. I want to just go hide and cry into my mom's shoulder and have her whisper sweet nothings. And that's the exact opposite. At some point, I think a healthy man, I'm not claiming any of us grew up that way, but I think at some point as a kid you learned, I could either run to mom, but I will always be a baby if I keep doing that, or I will go and I will walk with my father, and I'm terrified, but I think I could do it if he's with me. I'm scared to death of it, but I think I could go face this thing if I go with him, you know? And then eventually he's just teaching you. It's not doom, you know?
Yeah, I probably didn't hit it exactly like that, but that is real peace.
Yeah.
Is knowing that God is there. He has all the answers. It's in the trust of him that he's taking care of it, or he's there, and you're in the midst of catastrophe, and he's like, I've got all this in my hands.
Yeah.
And I got you in my hands. And it's this, like, one of the words for peace. I think it's eirene or something like that. Like, it's the idea of quietness, that you're quiet, so you don't have all this noise, this fear. You better hurt. Like, fear, the way I think of it is like, you better go. I've done it a million times. Something happens in my business. You better get up. You better go handle it. It's all on you. And there's this frantic, psychotic thing where I got to get out. It's all on me.
It's
I'm the
like begging you
superhero.
to obey.
Yeah, you're obeying the fear, right? But like, peace is in the middle of it. There's no noise, because you know that God has already answered that problem. God's already spoken to. He's already handling it. He may have given you a part to play in it, but you're able to sit there in quiet and trust that nothing is going to kill me. God has this, and he's taking care of it. It's rest and it's peace that God is holding your life together no matter what the situation is. And that's definitely not easy. It's definitely not like, yeah, just do it. It's like, it is a moment by moment, a day by day thing.
I like the idea of, to getting to that point is probably like what Phil's talking about, is every day looking into the storm,
right,
and seeing that God is there in the storm.
Well, let me give you a scary example.
Please don't.
Thinking
No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just talking about scary.
I watched this. I think I showed you. It was a video of this guy and his wife and his kids went to a birthday party, and this drunk lady just drove her car right through the front of it.
Dude, I saw that video.
Just killed.
We saw it together.
Yeah.
You did?
I think I
Yeah,
showed you.
we were all together.
Yeah. But anyways, and they had footage of this guy when the state troopers are telling him what happened.
Yeah, I remember
and he's
that.
Just flipping
Flipping
out.
out.
And it's like you're talking about that. It's not quiet. It's this
No,
panic.
no,
I gotta
no.
do something.
Right.
But also there's what can I do?
Yeah.
There's nothing. Like, they're already dead.
It's done.
And he's
yeah.
just flipping out. And I think that what peace is almost, it's like there's the same answer to everything, which is no matter how deep of the hole you fall into, you're still here with me, right? And you're going to handle all this.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to handle it, and I just have to put one foot in front of the other. Where you tell me to put my foot, that's where I'm going to put it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, eventually, you've gone through enough situations that's like, whether I'm on the peak, whether I've fallen into the pit, whether I'm hanging by my fingertips, or whatever's going on,
Yeah.
my action's always the same, which is to look at God who's here with me, to realize it's really all on him.
Yeah.
And he's asking me to do what I can, but he's also planned around my failures to be able to do it right. He wants my heart in this situation. And to know, like, how crazy that would be if that happened. Like, your whole family's dead. And if your instinct in that moment was, I'm not going to hope in my ability to fix this for a second. I've trained myself in this over and over again, that the moment I fall into the pit, I just pivot to God and, like, save me. I can't do
You did
anything
that. You
about
did that
this.
with the fire.
Well, I mean, in a much
Not in
less
that,
degree,
but
you
I'm
know?
saying, like, all your
Yeah.
stuff's gone. Your family's still there, thank God.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
But that's what it was. I had some peace in that situation, but it was because it's like, God, I totally see you in this
Right.
fire. Like, I don't think this is happening by accident at all.
right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
but I think that's kind of, maybe it's a dimension of fatherhood that maybe none of us have really thought about, that, like, your dad takes your hand and leads you into the scary place. Your dad, and I don't think that dads always do this nowadays. I think dads kind of fall into a maternal pattern with their sons.
Yeah.
They do.
I remember hearing a story when I was a kid about somebody in my family. They got chased home by a bully. And they ran into the house, and of course mom would just lock the door or whatever. And dad was like, all right, we're gonna go out and talk to this bully, and you might have to fight him. That might happen, and this is what you're gonna do. And then he just went out with his son and handled it. And but I think there's a big difference. I think that's like, what do we do when our kid's afraid of something? Obviously little little boys need a little bit different. But as they grow up, to be like, I am the guy who takes my son's hand and leads him
Listen,
into the
man.
scary thing and teaches him, see through this, son. This is not a big thing in your life. And that's ultimately what God does. And you hear about like those
Mhm.
near death experiences and stuff. That's kind of their experiences. They sit up from life and they go, I thought, I mean, I was terrified of all these things. I thought they were so important. And the second I was dead, I realized none of that was important. It was about the heart that I was walking in and
Yeah.
walk, like letting God reign over me, letting the love of God rule over me and walking with him. But I was so consumed with all these hamster wheel things that I was putting him on the back burner
Right.
because I got to worry about this and that. And then 2 seconds after you're dead, you're like, that was stupid. Why did I spend any time thinking about that? And Jesus is like, yeah, you literally could have sought my kingdom and its righteousness and let me take care of all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's when, I don't know verbatim, but that's when Jesus brings up peace. He's like, he's getting ready to leave, and he's like, you know, I'm not going to give you peace as the world gives it, you know? And he's mentioning trouble, he's mentioning tribulation, and he's mentioning peace at the same time. Like, you're going to have trouble, you're going to, all these things that he's talking about. And he's talking about that I'm going to be with you there. I'm going to help you. I'm going to take care of you, you know? I'm not going to leave you as orphans, I think he says in one scripture. I'm going to walk with you through it all, you know? And it's just like, I think most of the time we're just petrified of walking out into even the smallest thing, you know? Like maybe God doesn't do something super big right away, but it's like you're saying, we're not even looking at the storm. We're not even looking out there to see what he's wanting us to walk with him out into, you know? We're safe
And what
right
a
here.
different view of what life is supposed to be. The little
Right.
boy view that life is supposed to be safe and comfortable with mother's presence hovering.
Yes.
And if something goes bad, I run to her and she
Yeah.
shields me and blocks my eyes from the whole thing versus
That's what we're running after
Yeah.
all the time,
versus
bro.
I'm
Yeah.
supposed to go into the dark places. I'm supposed to step into the places. I'm supposed to be testing myself against these things all the
Yeah.
time and
That's where
finding
God is.
my heavenly Father.
Yeah.
in the
It's like
midst
what
of it.
message that you preached about the other day with fear and how it's constantly on your tail.
Yeah, because I think that's
Yeah.
kind of the abyss, is like to slowly get to the place where you look into the heart of your fear and figure out God is still God in this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like looking at the idea of peace, and part of the idea is that you're grabbing all, like, anxiety in the Greek is all these divided things, right? It's not whole, it's not real shalom. It's like it's broken into pieces, that you're a broken person, and like bringing things back into peace.
Multitasking.
Well, bringing things back into peace is tying all those things back together in a whole, like a whole piece into Christ. So it's like part of the process, I felt like God was saying, is that we need to start looking at all these divided places and begin to see him in the middle of it and see his voice and what he's saying and give him real control over these things, like to recognize them and to give him control over them and allow rest to hit those areas of our life, to where eventually, if we're following Christ, I don't know how to do this, to be honest, but to be a whole person, like we are not dispersed in all these different ways.
Looking at them, each and everything,
Mm-hmm.
as the eye of the storm, and that God is in that storm.
Yeah.
Even like,
And letting
Yeah,
him
through
talk to you, letting him show you where he is, letting him show he's got it. He's in control. You don't have to do all this stuff to try to control it. Like, let go. Like, let go and let me. I'll tell you if you need to do something, but surrender it and let me
Because
be.
that's what Phil was talking about. Really hit me with the running to mommy thing.
Mhm.
Once fear hits you, and I see that in a lot of things that I do. Is just like I'm running to this thing
Yeah.
to get my my little comfort, or to feel comfortable running to these things. Is my mommy is like, it's making me feel better, and avoiding the fear instead of
Yeah.
looking at the fear, or going with your dad into the fear. for the scariest place and knowing that he's there and he has it under control.
Well, and think about it, there
Mhm.
is no mother's cooing that feels as good as your dad cheering.
Yeah,
Like
that's real, bro.
that's what calls a boy into
Yeah.
manhood, if it's healthy enough that that's there,
Mm.
is to realize this is infantilizing. This means I can't handle anything, and my dad's calling me to it. And that's what God's doing. Is like you can go, you can walk on the water, you can go into situations that you should not be able to survive this.
Yeah.
But I'm the resurrection and the life. You have nothing to fear if you are with me. Like you can follow me into anything. You can go through anything in your life.
Even death, like you were saying in that
you
sermon.
walk right
like,
into it, and it's
yeah.
like I'm gonna be holding your hand the whole time,
Mhm.
unless you're scrabbling to avoid something I'm pulling you into. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Trying
like,
to avoid it. Yeah.
yeah, and there are people that do, man. Their house burns down, or they get cancer, or something happens, and they're so fighting what's happening
Right.
that they're not aware that you can have peace right now if you just let go and took hold of God, just looked into
And
it,
walk
and
on
see
the
that He's
water.
right there.
Walk on the water of that thing, and be with Jesus. It's just like,
And maybe you can't even do that, but at least you
Yeah.
can have Him pick you up and carry you somewhere. You know, like I think that was part of the lesson for Peter. Was like, it's
Yeah.
not that you can always walk on the water. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
Like Jesus was not actually surprised that Peter
sank.
took two
Yeah.
steps and sank.
Yeah.
And that was part of the lesson, was like, Peter, it doesn't depend on you. Like, it really does depend on me. The question is, are you going to depend on me, or are you going to depend on you? It's like, are you going to use the life preserver, or are you going to hold on to that anchor and let it drag you under the water?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's
So would you think then that kind of this is reduced as much as I can? Would you say then that peace kind of is a choice?
I think it's accessible, man.
Yeah.
I think it's right there. I think peace is like, it was like Danny was saying, in the Hebrew, as far as I understand, it's been a minute, but it's an actuality. It's not just an interior feeling. It's
Right.
an actuality. So it's like, if you
Yeah.
look out at you're only looking so far because you're afraid to look into the heart of the storm.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, the peace does not exist here. But if you looked big enough and you saw God in the storm, you'd realize, oh, God's bigger than anything in my life. So I am safe no matter what happens.
I'm laughing because when he was talking about it earlier, I was like, I'm not even that big. I'm not even looking that big. My world is like right in that
but
boat.
it's like, if your
and
world,
you can't even look up.
Most
to
of us
see the
is.
if
storm.
your world's that big, then you never see that God's bigger than the problem.
Yeah.
You
It's
just
like
have
when
that
they're in
shadow.
it's like when the disciples are in the boat and Jesus is asleep in the boat.
Yeah.
And the storm, and they're like freaking out, and they're like, "Don't you care about us?" And he's like, "What are you scared of?" And he
Like,
just
why
calms.
are you waking
It's
me
like,
up from
of
being
course, yeah, of course. But that's peace. That's the idea of peace. Jesus is asleep. He's at rest. He knows his Father's taking care of him. The disciples don't. They're freaking out. They think they're gonna die, and it's like Jesus is like, again, why do you have so little faith? Don't you know that I'm holding all this together, that I purpose this? And it's just most of the time we're the disciples freaking out. We're gonna die, and just trying to control things, and we can't. We can't. It's just the boat's going down if
Yeah,
Jesus
and
wants
control
it to.
like you were talking about, control can look different to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Like whether you're working too hard, whether you're focusing on your rest period of being in your phone or watching a movie or
So many different
so
things.
many
When
different
you start
things,
to pray about it, you're just like, wow, I'm a controlling person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to stop this from blowing up. And it's like,
I've-
maybe God wants it to blow up. Maybe God wants to teach me something when it blows up, but I'm keeping it from blowing up, to my degree. I'm building this big idol that's stopping this thing from happening. And it's endless. Like, if you don't,
Well, it's like, imagine if Abraham, when God was like, offer up your son, was like, no,
yeah,
like, he just locked that up. That would be just hanging over him for the rest of his life.
yeah,
And the fear that God wants to take his son from him, all that would just be over him. Like, I can't trust God to protect me from the bad things because I think God wants to take all this stuff,
Yeah.
And instead he's like, I trust God through this, even though it makes no sense. He took God by the hand, he went up there, and
Yeah.
what does he see when he gets into the heart of the abyss and looks down? Is there's a ram stuck in the thicket, and God's saying, of course not, I got you. And it was like, but if he hadn't have done that,
Yeah.
Imagine the fear that would have hung over him, especially if he didn't even really let God tell him. It's just like he could tell God was going to say something heavy about his son. He's like, nope, I don't want to talk about it. It's like you would be under a freaking cloud of this. I have no stability there. I'm completely doubtful. I'm not trusting God because I won't even hear him, So it's like, how can I trust God for all the things that could touch Isaac? You
Yeah.
would be all locked up because of that.
Yeah, I was hitting on that in this. It's like part of what God was
You're
talking.
hitting on Isaac? That's
No.
a far
Uh,
field example.
no, like seeing God show up for you, walking through the war enough to where you're letting go of control, and then war breaks out, and then you see God come through, and you're like, oh, God's got all this under his control. But it's like God was hitting me on the idea of like allegiance, of the fact that we need to take his side on things, Like, what is doubt? Doubt is, I drew out this little lame kind of thing here. But like, well, it's just the way I understood it. Here's God, here's us in the middle of God's opinion, and then here's doubt. So we're in between the two opinions. And doubt is going teetering back and forth. Which side am I going to take? But we never really choose a side. We're just being crushed by doubt. And I think part of walking in peace is recognizing what God's saying and joining him, like believing his side and not the doubt that tells us all these other things,
Well,
And
I think there's like false loyalty too, because a lot of people think that especially nowadays, because we have such a selfish, proud of selfishness kind of culture. But
yeah,
a lot of people think that they have loyalty because they've looked at a situation and they've figured out that this works for them, and so they sign up with this guy. Okay, we'll go into business together. We'll do whatever. Oh, we're going to get married. We're going to have a family, and they think it's loyalty
hmm
because they signed on like that.
yeah,
And it's like, but real loyalty is almost completely relational. It's not looking at the situation at all. It's looking at the person.
right, and
It's
believing
a
him.
ride or die thing where it's like, no, I'm going down with you.
Yeah.
If this blows up, I'm gonna die showing loyalty to you. And it's like we look at like real loyalty, like it doesn't make sense to modern loyalty. Like I'm loyal to this. Like you watch some war movie, and this guy's loyal to this dude literally to his death, and he dies being loyal to his commanding officer or something. It almost doesn't compute for a modern person because you're like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
There's just something that doesn't. But it's actually so deeply relational,
hmm
And I think that's the issue when we're looking at God is we can be looking at it and running the numbers and seeing if it makes sense all the time. That's really loyalty to myself. I'm the captain,
Yeah.
and I'm deciding that what you're saying makes sense to me, but that's never going to be stable.
Yeah.
Because my loyalty is to me
Yeah.
and what I think about this, and that could change at any moment where I go, God, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. But if my loyalty's to him, it's not something where I'm running numbers or I'm not thinking at all.
Right.
I'm looking at God and saying, you got me. And it's almost like with the centurion when Jesus is like, I've never found faith like this in Israel. He's kind of almost saying like there's a militaristic training that kind of is similar to faith in the idea that I don't need to think about this. I've signed up, I've locked in and I'm going to follow my orders and this is what I'm going to do. And it can come off simple minded, but what it is it's just I've committed. I'm a patriot. I'm willing to die for this. I'm locked in. I don't need to think about it. It's not for me to question why, it's for me to do and die. And that's what it is. And so it's like, I think there's real loyalty is more devoid of thought and judgment than most people think. It's a heart connection where he's like, I owe this guy everything, and it doesn't matter whether he spends me well or wastes me or whether he's using me in a way that I agree with, like, oh yeah, I want my life to be like this or not, or he wants me sweeping floors for the rest of my life, or what God wants is just like, I'm your man. So
Yeah, because most of the
want me to
time,
plunge a toilet today? Let's do some plunging, and that's loyalty versus our modern loyalty is really self loyalty, just signing up for someone for a minute.
yeah, because most of the time, if I'm in doubt, it's because God's saying something and I'm like, I don't really agree with that. You know, like I don't really like what you're saying, and so maybe I'm hearing wrong because it's like I don't really, that doesn't really fit my life and how things look and stuff, and so I
What's
find
best-
myself
what's
stuck.
best for me?
What's best for me?
Yeah.
I'm stuck in the middle and I'm going back and forth, and it's like the way I've ever gotten out of that is just to believe God and say, you know what you're doing. I don't really see what you're doing and I don't understand it, and to join his side, and it breaks off of me. And yeah, there's still war to get rid of the doubt, you know? But it's
Well,
like
like-
we can't really ever join God in his peace if we're constantly on the other side, you know, arguing with him and what he wants to do and where he's calling us out to. It's like, you know, like we're going to be on the wrong side. We can't really join in with him, you know? So,
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if we looked at marriage, for example, people like even people in the church, right? Even like people with all respect in the church would you know they're getting married for life. They don't believe in divorce. That's not going to happen. This and that.
yeah.
But still, if their wife isn't doing right by them,
Yeah.
they're shaking their fist. They're not doing a very good job. You know, I'm not going to reciprocate and do all these things. Fine, screw you. You're on your own with the dishes, or you know, like you deserve this. You know, and that is the difference. Is because it's like I'm loyal to you as long as you're trustworthy.
Yeah.
But real loyalty says I've
Conditional.
already judged you trustworthy. And I'm not even looking at that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like if you walked into your marriage and it was like you walked into that situation and you were like, I trust you even when everything, all appearances are you're misusing me. I still trust you and I've signed up for this and this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
God has told me to do this. I trust him and if you showed up every day and you said, I'm going to be the best husband I can be because I trust God and I trust my wife and and I've given my loyalty, and you did that every day, and whether it looked like you were getting screwed or not, you did it. Not only would God be like, awesome, you know, like not only would that be amazing, you would grow in the Lord too, which would also be intense. But think about the effect that would have on your spouse when they realize this dude's rock solid and he's always going to do right by me. He's always going to keep his promise. He's always going to do what's right. No matter what I do, he's going to show up. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's such stability. And then think about what happens when we don't do that. When we're like, well, my promise is not really a promise. It's conditional based on whether you're keeping your promise. And so any shakiness anywhere, I'm going to magnify your uncertainty with my uncertainty. And maybe I'm going to show up for you, but you've been showing up so well, so I'm not going to show up so well. I'm going to be angry or I'm going to be whatever. And it's like all that does is deepen the instability versus if both, you know, preferably both are just like like I've given my pledge, I've given my loyalty, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I've trusted God, I've trusted you, and I'm not going back on it no matter what it looks like. There's such stability there. Like people that have real trust issues can learn how to trust in a situation like that. And that's, you know, maybe that's why God is so, you know, there's probably a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons at least why God displays that so thoroughly on his side. I'm going to be faithful because that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you are faithless, I'm going to continue to be faithful. Even when you don't show loyalty, I'm going to continue to be loyal to you. And
Yeah.
it's because it's like, okay, now I've taken away so much of the enemy's rhetoric. I've stripped it of its power because Satan is going to still accuse. He's still going to come in and say, well, God's going to abandon you the first time you screw up. But over and over again, you see, like, actually, he doesn't do that. That's not actually true at all.
Right.
I'm going to have to dump him. I'm going to have to renounce him. I'm going to have to walk away from him. He is not going to just give up on me because I keep screwing up. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's loyalty. That's allegiance. That's faithfulness.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think that we really let that percolate down.
No.
Instead, we're sitting there and the devil's spinning it. Like, how many times has he told, well, this is, you know, you better get on the treadmill and run and make this right. You can't go you can't you can't go face this with God. You can't walk through this with God.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Of course I can. Like, of course I can. There's nothing that supports that argument that the devil's making. Nothing supports it in the whole experience of our life except how he spins stories while we're running away and we don't have the facts because we ran away. And then he spins it. Well, if you'd stayed, it would have went like this.
Yeah.
If you had turned to God, he would have shot you down. He would have spanked you, and that would have been it. And yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think probably peace is founded on the character of God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the more you understand God's character and the more you trust in it, the more access you have to peace, and the more that you are open to the devil saying you can't really trust him. He's shady. But the more you let the devil convince you that God is like you and he's gonna handle this situation like you would.
Right.
That's the less peace you're gonna have.
And especially like when you've walked through things with him and he's shown up,
Mm-hmm.
like I've already been through this. This is a different situation, but I trusted God. He showed up to be faithful. He did what he said he was going to do. He didn't leave me. He didn't abandon me. And I think there's always layers to that, different testings and everything. But yeah, we have to get to know him like that, or it's just like we're just guessing, It's just like it's not strong enough. Like where we just think that God's going to leave us. We will never stand there and wait on him. We'll run away because we don't really trust him, We're not really on his side.
We'll never look into the storm if we don't believe he's there.
Yeah.
You have to believe that, and it's like when you're running away from the thought of death or someone you love dying or sickness or failure or whatever, I can guarantee you while you're running away from it, the one thing you're not thinking about is that
He's
God
right
is there
there.
and he will be faithful and it will be okay.
Yeah.
That's something you just learn from God being the Father and taking you through it again and again until that stuff pops up. Satan whispers something like that and you go, yeah, and God will still be God there. He will still be my Father in that situation, and it's going to be fine, like better than fine. It's all going to work out. And that's not something that happens by accident. That happens because you're stepping out. You're letting God stretch you in courage there. Like you're letting him take you to places where, and that's the problem is we want to plan the day to get to the couch. And that's not, you're never going to go and look into the abyss and find God there.
My show's on. I got to get to my show.
Yeah,
my ice cream.
You're trying to escape the whole time and you're running to mama, if you want to call it that. You will never get on the same. There has to be a recognition that this is death. Like there is a devouring destructiveness in staying in the nest too long. You will rot in that nest. But there's some part of us like, I want to go back and crawl in my nest, pull the covers over my head, and it's like that's not what real rest is.
Hiding.
Real rest is the Sabbath peace. It's what you're gonna find walking with God. It's not running and hiding. And that's even like what God will say, like, you've been using me as the wrong outlet. You've been trying to go and hide with me somewhere, and this is even false. Even though you've taken me, you've put me over here, this is still
hiding from the challenges outside. But I'm out there. I'm not in here.
You want
I'm
me
trying to encourage you to go outside and play with your friends.
It's like God's like, you want me to be mama. You want to run away from things to me and have me soothe you. But I need to be dad.
Yeah.
And you need to take our hands and we're going to go out and look into the thing you're afraid to look at.
And God is both, but he's not going to over mother us. It's like when we go out there and we get beat up a little bit and we recognize, then God will come in and do that again. And then he'll push us back out of the nest. It's like we really don't have the fathering of God in our lives. We have the mothering. Most Christians, they're soakers or they're seeking the mothering of God. Nobody's really seeking the fathering of God. Like
and people that talk about it, there are people that are overly mothery and that there's always a softness and something going on there where you're like, okay, I get that. And then there's like these hardcore war warrior guys. Which I hate
Yeah,
to put the warrior.
military.
They got the and they're like, you're not talking about God as a father. You're talking about God as a drill sergeant.
Drill sergeant.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the same thing. You still don't have the right understanding of what God's
That's a
doing.
lot of what fathering is just
Nowadays,
barking at their kids and not really walking shoulder to shoulder with them and teaching them about life and letting them, like you're saying, letting them go through things that develop character and change. It's like, how often do most people, they're crying out for the call of God on their life and to follow the Spirit and all these things. Like, how could you actually do it? I'm not saying they're not doing anything, but actually do it the way God wants. Like, the understanding of, like, growing in the understanding that I can follow God anywhere and things will be okay has to do a tremendous change to your faith, you know, in following Christ. Because most of the time, if we walk with God, we're going to hit a point where we just want to run away and go to mommy, you know? We're not going to really follow him into the challenges that he wants to take us into, you know? It's like I could look at my own life and just think, you know, God knows that it's happening, but I could see and say, oh, I've wasted so much time just hiding underneath the blanket, you know? All the while I'm in the prayer closet, call me out. I want to be the guy. I want to be the man that you want me to be. And I'll feel the presence of God there, but then God's like, okay. And he'll go do the thing, and I'm running way back. So it's just this vicious cycle. I'm like, I don't really know what I'm asking for. I'm not really recognizing the process of this to actually be who he wants me to be, you know? I'm trying to get a shortcut to it or something, you
You
know?
want it to be real without being scary.
Right.
They don't really work out.
Yep. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think that there's a reality there that's pretty heavy, and I think
Yep.
I think there's like, even like with the whole military thing, it's like they have people. I think it's misinterpreted and eventually it becomes this structural thing. But I think originally they were just like, okay, march over here, do 20 push-ups, go over there, do this, do that, and it's supposed to like kind of grind into someone's mind that you can just obey without do I agree with this? Do I agree with walking over there? Do I agree with the 20? But it gets you into a place like, I trust my commander to tell me what to do, and then eventually you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand what this guy's commanding this guy to do, what this, but at the end of the day, you stand back, wow, we did something really amazing today, just because we trusted this one guy enough to listen to him when he told us to do stuff.
Right.
And I think that if there's a redeemable part of that to look at, it's that God is trying to lead us to that place where we're not constantly having some sort of picture
Yeah.
of what God's doing,
Yeah.
and instead we just have a picture of who God is.
Yeah.
Because God's like this mothery thing, and I run to him, and he comforts me, and I don't allow him to be outside of that picture. I just ignore him if he's outside of that picture. Or he's the father, and he's teaching me to carry the cross. It's like, it's not that any of those things aren't necessarily true. It's just you're always putting an image on God and not allowing him to be anything else but that. Instead of being in this place where I'm looking for God everywhere. I'm obeying him no matter what he's saying, because the vision that I have of God is of who he is, not of the method. I'm not auditing the method and saying, I agree with that. Let's go with that. I like the method. And then when God changes, you can't change the method, God. Well, why wouldn't I be? Because I'm loyal to the method. I'm not actually loyal to you. And that's even with the military macho things, like they're loyal to the method. The real heart is supposed to be you're loyal to the man.
To the man, yeah.
And it's like, when we get to a place where it's like, Jesus, I trust you, I'm loyal to you, then he can change the method. He can go here or there. He could have you working on this today and go in a prayer closet one day, out in the field the next day, have you be in an intellectual place here, have you be in just a place of deep connection without a thought in your head. He could take you anywhere, and the common denominator is, I'm following the Lord. Like, I'm looking for him and I'm following him in all of these.
Yeah.
It's like when we were talking about the one thing that Jesus, I forget what it was, how we called that one, but it was like the one thing Jesus did. It was like basically
Mhm.
Jesus' whole life was set to a very simple thing, which was he looked for his father
Yeah.
and he saw what his father was doing and he said, "Can I join you out there?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that spiritual adornment book where he's like, "Behold, the bridegroom is here. Go out and meet him." And it's like to constantly have that as the heart of your relationship. And for me, it's hard because it's like God has, talks to you about his plans, and this is a vision for the church, and this is what's going on here. It's hard not to get invested and get out your pen and start clearing up part of the vision over here, expanding over here, building a plan, coming up with an idea. It's hard to stay in that humble, childlike place where you're like, my job is just to wake up in the morning and say, "Where you at, God?" Not even that, because that's more like, "Where are you?" It's more open expectation. He's here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he at work? And then to constantly be interested in learning more about who he is by seeing what he's doing and wanting to join him and do that with him and become like, it's exactly a father relationship where you're a little kid, you wake up, you look for your dad, you're studying what your dad's doing, getting known that way. And then there's always, and I want to go out and I want to work shoulder to shoulder with him in that and be like him in that. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why Jesus ground that so deep into the whole thing. Is God as Father is that idea, is like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is what the relationship is supposed to be. It's not you clocking in the work. You could have easily said that, and that's how most of us are with God. We're clocking in the work, and we're trying to show independence and ingenuity and innovation. We're trying to impress the boss, get a promotion or something. And it's like, that is not a son's heart to his father when it's healthy, when it's not messed up. It's just a different thing.
It's like I was thinking about it, like, the idea of rest is like, what a crazy burden, a burden that must rest on our shoulders that we don't even recognize most of the time because we're doing all the things that God doesn't want us to do. And the moment we can just say, this is God's job, this is my part, find him, get involved with what he's doing, and to like learn how to let God take over all this stuff is, I don't really know it yet, but it's got to be extremely restful, like the burdens that we carry, the responsibility that we carry, that's not ours.
Mm-hmm.
It's God's. Our job is to trust him to take care of it. It's like, that's got to be extremely restful.
And that's what people kind of lust after in their childhood. They think it's the nest, but really what they are looking for is when my father watched over me and I knew I could just be,
He's got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be like, it's like you're saying the other day,
Shepherd.
it's like as a husband and wife, like a wife wants to get, and it's like, that's not your job. I'll take care of it. It's got to be a load off the wife's heart. Like, oh, I don't actually have to be everything. I could just do my job in the marriage and he'll do his job. Like, if you have that marriage setup, it's like
your wife stressing out about doing a phone call or a conversation. Like, no, I'll
that's
call
my
him.
job.
I'll
Yeah,
call him.
I'll call him. You could just pray for me or something. Just take a back seat. You don't even have to pray.
Yeah.
Just chill out. It'll be taken care of. Like that, I think, is something that we don't enter into most of the time because we're trying to save the world, and it's all on our shoulders. And it's like, the whole idea of being in the yoke with God is that he carries probably 99% of that weight. He's the one, we're in the yoke with him. He's teaching us, but he's carrying the load. And it's just like, how many things are in our lives where it's just like crushing us because we're just trying, I'm not good enough, I got to try harder, I'm a piece of crap. And we're trying to just do all this stuff, and God's like, I can do that for you if you just trust me and give me the time to do it how I want to do it. Don't try to control it, It's like, yeah, of course we don't enter into rest most of the time because we're just trying to, the weight of the world's on our shoulders and he's ready to take it, Yeah.
That's like everybody's full time. No matter atheist, whatever they are, everybody's full time job is to save themselves.
Yeah.
And they're just running hard after it all
Hard.
the time.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about being a true disciple of Christ is like, Jesus did that. He's got it. He's even working it out in my life. He's got it. And my job has significantly shifted into trusting and walking in him and
Child.
no, it's just learn it's just growing into relationship with him.
Mhm.
And we'll make it where that is the battle of salvation, is growing in relationship with him. And it is and it isn't. I mean, it isn't in the sense that it's like, honestly, we're showing up at all, it takes care of itself. The problem is we think we're showing up more trying to save ourselves using him, and it's like, that's not relationship at all. You're just using
That is
God.
work salvation.
Yeah,
Like
you're just
people talk
using
about
God.
that.
You're just using him for something, you know. And
Yeah.
if you were truly believe that he saved you and that he is saving you and that his hand is upon it,
Yeah.
you just show up in a different way, you know.
Interact with them in a different way.
Well,
Everything.
There would be gratitude, there would be worship, there would be peace, there would be a lot of the fruit of the spirit versus putting your face to the grindstone and just
Ignoring God.
and telling God it has to be this way. We don't have time for this. I got to do this. It's like you're always going to be barking orders at God if you're trying to use him to enact your salvation versus, you know, he's done it all, and what does he ask of me, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like there's some just despising of the small beginnings and stuff there where it's just like, God, do you understand the storms? I got to do more than this. And it's
not
like,
enough. It's not enough.
And God's like, yeah, it could never be enough with you.
Yeah,
like
sure.
That's why I did it, because I needed to do it. And now this is about you belonging to me, and that is a bunch of little tiny things that you're probably going, that it's too small. It's like, no, if we're talking about your heart belonging to me, that's just the right size. You're talking about me using you to save yourself. No, that's not. No, of course, that's not big enough.
Yeah.
Of course, you're having martyrdom fantasies or something, because yeah, it would have to be you going to the cross somehow.
Yeah.
But I didn't send you to the cross. I went to the cross, and now I'm having you carry a cross.
Yeah.
Which is significantly less hard than being nailed.
Actually going to the cross. Yeah.
It's a conformity issue. I mean, you need to face pain, and you need to face the fear, and you need to face these things with God. But it's just a different animal compared to thinking, I got to do what Jesus did. Like, you can't. That's why he did it.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like an extreme, like the weight of that, you know? Like to be free from that would be amazing, you know? To stop doing that, to just learn how to catch ourselves and start trusting the Lord in this area, because it's just real peace. I don't think that we really know it, you know? Maybe we've tasted it a little bit, but to like sit in peace, you know? Like, wow. I got a lot of false peace. I don't got a lot of real peace, you know?
Well, you can't know how good steak really tastes if you're eating Twinkies and nachos every day.
Yeah.
Like, even if you sit down and try to eat the good steak, you're not going to taste
Very
it the
full.
way you will.
Yeah.
If you detox all that stuff and you eat like, oh, this is a real thing. So it's like, if you're chasing and tasting to whatever degree you can the fake piece, then it's like, yeah, you gotta get on a diet, fast all that crap out before you'll even really be able to catch the weight and the deliciousness of the peace of God and be like, oh, this is what I should have been doing the whole time. This is way better than that other junk.
Yeah, because like my mind just keeps going to like scenarios where it's like God will let problems exist in our life, and it's like, how do we approach problems? I gotta go, like, it's just simple example, but like a bill comes in, I gotta get to work, I gotta work overtime, I gotta do all these things and take the responsibility and handle this. And God's like, did you even talk to me about it? You know, maybe God doesn't want you to do anything. Maybe he's gonna send a check in the mail and you just wasted all these hours and you exhausted yourself with the worry and all the, because you took the responsibility. So now you're up all night being anxious and worried. And God could have just simply said, I'll take care of it. You don't have to do anything. You know, it's like those are two different worlds. Like I think most of the time we're running to save the day. Oh, I got to make the church happen. Oh, I got to save this guy. It's like, where's God at? There's no room for him because we're coming to save ourselves. Like Phil was saying, we're coming to solve the problems. Like we think we can handle it, and maybe we do solve the problem. But look at our heart at the end of the day. Our heart is tethered. Like we're destroyed. Our faith is messed with, and like, where's God at? We haven't got to know him at all because we came to solve the problem instead of
Well, and
Jesus, you know?
it's interesting because when you're approaching all those things, that is, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to save myself. All these things,
Yeah.
and if Jesus has already won the battle, it's already won, and it's our job to work our salvation out.
Yeah.
With fear and trembling, yes, but I mean, it's our job to work out what he's already done, to take the steps so that he can work this through us. And
Yeah.
that's what it says. It's interesting because it says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you both to will and to do his good pleasure, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, like, why are we supposed to fear and tremble? Is it because, oh, I better work hard enough to work my salvation? No, you need to make sure that you're not getting in the way
Stepping
of
on his
God's
toes.
salvation, or you're trying, because what is it with when Paul's talking about the Jews? He said, have the Gentiles received the righteousness that they never sought for, but the Jews cannot because they sought it by the works of the law instead of by being faithful to Jesus. He goes, this is what happened. They were chasing salvation harder than anybody, but because they insisted on doing it themselves, there was no room for Jesus to do it for them. And so they missed the hour of the visitation. Meanwhile, over here, the Gentiles have, at least in part, received it because they weren't trying to do that. They were like, okay, you can save, I'll let you save me, you know?
Help
and it's
me.
like, but that's the danger, is we all start out as Gentiles when we first come to the Lord, but then we start becoming more and more Pharisees, putting our hands to it, thinking that we're in control of it. And really the fear and trembling, I think, is to recognize that if God is not at work in me to will and to work according to his good pleasure, if he's not leading me through the whole process of pleasing him, then this isn't me working out my salvation. This is not the salvation that Jesus purchased being worked out in my life. This is me building a tower of Babel to heaven because I don't trust that Jesus has lowered the ladder down for me. So I'm not expecting him to show up and save the day. I'm not expecting him to have a plan since before I was born to get me through this season. I'm out here coming up with a plan on my own because I think there is none.
For
and
sure.
it's like, well, that's complete. That's, what's faith? That's not faith.
That's not faith.
That's
No.
not faith at all.
That's
I
think
faith in myself, but that is not faith.
I think
in
it's
anything
I
that
think it's
Jesus
funny
did.
because people talk about people that are, you know,
Cameraman.
I think that when people are like talking about works salvations and they're saying, oh, because we think that you have to obey God and all these things to receive, to make it. You can't just be faithless and disobedient and just say a prayer. But most of the time people are coming in and saying, well, that's a faith works salvation. And no, it's not. What you're saying is a faith work salvation. I'm coming and it's up to me to save myself. I got to get to the end because I'm not trusting God to get me to the end and help me get to heaven. Like that's what the Holy Spirit's here for. He's here to set you in the way, to show you where Jesus is. Jesus is the way, right? He's pointing to the path, the narrow path, and saying, this is the way to heaven, follow it. But we're like, I understand how to get there. And it's like, I'm going to work and try to do good works on my own, all these things that have self all over it, and thinking that that's going to get me in at the end of the day. Even though it has a religious tone to it, that's a works-based salvation because it's not something that God is orchestrating, It's we're orchestrating it. We think we have what it takes to get there without God, And we use the name of Christ to try to pretty it up like we're following Christ, but we're not,
Yeah, it's because Paul's talking about works. He's talking about the works of the law, and he's talking about this idea that the law was supposed to humble people. That's what it was supposed to do to Israel. They were supposed to try to do what God was asking them to do in the law. and outside of Christ they can't do it. They cannot bear fruit apart from Christ. So that there would be this incredible hunger and desperation for the Messiah when he came. They would be like, yes, save us,
Yeah.
man. We need
Right. Yeah.
it. And that's why only the people who had totally failed, like the apostles and prostitutes and tax collectors, the people who had given up on the law, I can't do it. I guess I'm going to hell. And then when Jesus showed up, they're like, oh wow, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it because we can't do it. They had room for Jesus, but like the Pharisees, they were like, no, we're gonna deceive ourselves into thinking that we are keeping the law.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with heredity, or the special elect, chosen of God thing, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it, they were out there still doing it. They were going to form this salvation, and that's the danger in it, I think. Whether you're doing it by the works of the laws of Moses, or what, however you formulate it,
Yeah.
I think there is works of the law is a principle that, like, here I'm going to establish my own judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and these are the rules that I have to follow to be good enough to make it, and I'm going to go and get it done, and I'm doing it apart from God for the most part. Maybe I'm praying here and there or whatever, but real salvation is recognizing that God, through Christ, has defeated the enemies that keep us apart from God, and has restored the way back to right relationship with God. And I think, like, it's like that book Allegiance by Salvation or whatever says it, like, faith is works too. It is allegiance. It is the
Right.
fullness of your life being
Obeying.
devoted
Yeah.
to God. You don't really have allegiance to someone if you don't have works of allegiance that follow.
Mm-hmm.
And your works of allegiance aren't really allegiance if your heart isn't really allegiant to that person. So I mean, it's a bigger concept than we give it credit for in English. But
Right.
I think that's what it is like, there are people who are seeking in all ways to follow Jesus, to make him king over their lives. They recognize him as king over heaven and earth, and they're surrendering to him. And when he taps on their conscience, they're surrendering. When they hear a teaching and they go, I'm not obeying Christ, they start talking to Christ about obeying him in that area. And that's what they're doing. They're chasing him. And I think there's a tendency to want to sub Jesus's lordship out for something else, for rules, for a certain church theology. You want to replace Jesus with something else that isn't really Jesus. It's just a placeholder for Jesus.
Yeah.
And it makes it simpler. And ultimately, if we can push Jesus out of the picture, then I'm Lord again. Even if I'm might be a Pharisee, I got this religious thing going on, but it's me. It's just another way of getting the flesh back on the throne. He's going to be a clean-cut politician, but he's still the flesh, and he's still in charge.
Yeah.
Versus true faith is always going to be trusting God enough to take his hand and lead you through life step by step, and that's what that's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really weird issue that people have made it out to between faith and works, because
Big issue in the church.
yeah, and I just think it's I think part of it is just dumb. It's based on a very dumb idea. The idea that if you have faith, you will automatically have works. It's like, well, that's not true. Look around. That's not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
And so that's not a good answer for James 2 and all these other places. Well, if you have faith, then you'll have works. Why are all these people constantly calling people to works in the Bible? Paul does it, Peter does it, Jesus does it, because your faith isn't fully formed till you live it out. It's hypothetical to some degree.
It's
That's
like
why
I can
James is
see
saying,
it, but I don't believe it. It's like I don't believe it enough
well,
to
it's
put
just
action to it.
it's just
You know.
like Peter. He had a false faith. He thought he was ready to die for Jesus, and it wasn't until he actually tried to do it and denied him 3 times that he realized, this is false faith. I got to cast this out. I need to depend on God.
Right.
And then he does go and he's martyred for Jesus later on. But there is a process of doing that in your life where, if you are not actively trying to live your loyalty to Jesus out in the real world,
Mhm.
you will be deceived about what's going on in your heart. You will not, you'll think you trust Jesus. You'll think that you love him. You'll think you're so devoted to him. The other day I heard someone who's like, what is assurance of faith? And he was, or assurance of salvation. He said that you love Jesus. I thought that's the worst assurance you could have. People easily get emotional about Jesus, and people watch 3
Deceive 'em.
episodes of The Chosen, and I love Jesus. And it's like, to love God is to obey his commandments. That's what
That's
the
what
Bible
Christ
teaches.
says, yeah.
Yeah, that's what Jesus says. That's what the Bible teaches throughout, because that's where you're going to figure out that in general, that's where you're not going to know whether you love your wife until you keep promises that hurt, that you're carrying a cross for that woman. That's when you realize that you really love her. It's not goosebumps and moonbeams. It's when you're bleeding for somebody. And I think it's just weird. It's almost like when you hear people talk about communism, or like, oh, okay, but that's not real. Like, that's not real life. Like, great idea. Like, we're going to get rid of property and everyone's going to share. But it's like, no, they're not. They're going to be hoarding and stealing. It's going to look like the Soviet Union. That's freaking, it's going to be toilet paper and vodka lines. That's what's going to be. And it's the same thing when people are like, oh, knowing that you don't have to try, you just believe, is going to make people go out and do things. Not in this world, it ain't. Like,
They're gonna
going
camp
to
out.
they're gonna sleep in that pew, and they're not going to do anything, and they're going to awake to a judgment that they're not prepared for, and that
Mhm.
they could have been. Like, they could have worked out their salvation with fear and trembling. They could have discovered things about themselves and worked through a process of repentance, and
Yeah.
God could have done amazing things in their life. But somebody said, just take a nap, you'll be fine. And it's like,
Grace.
that's not grace. That's a ticket to hell. That's not a safe thing to do at all. You need to be living your faith out. You need to be living your loyalty to Jesus out, and it's gonna humble the hell out of you, literally.
Yeah.
That's how you stay away from hell, is letting God humble you with real life experience and obedience, and walking through those things. And so much of churches is running to mama nowadays. We make
Yeah.
churches that are just places to hide from your life. And it's like, that is, I'm not saying that God won't meet young believers there and bless their socks off. He will, because they need mama. They're babies. Just like a baby needs to run to mama when he scrapes his knee. Don't get in the way of that. Let that happen.
It's like we're full of
But-
retreats
But
instead
when
of
you
training.
look, but when you look at the churches, like, they're just a dangerous place for a Christian who's approaching any sort of maturity in their life, because it's going to constantly try to coax them back into the cradle. And it's
Mhm.
like, you need someone who's going to encourage you to carry the cross and walk into the scary places and learn how to trust God with big scary things. And
It's like if you grew up.
most pastors aren't doing that, man. They're like, I'm afraid to teach on this because I got a mortgage payment on this building.
Get canceled. We get canceled.
Yeah, and so it's like, you can't have cowards in the pulpit and expect anything to go different.
It's just like, I mean, I could look at my life and most people's lives, like, we weren't prepared for life.
No.
We were taught to run and to hide. And then when real life happened, we were destroyed so much that I ended up going on drugs because I can't handle this. I couldn't handle even growing up because I wasn't taught. And it's like most people are babies in Christ. They're babies in Christ. Roberts.
You caught something.
Most
Sound like, hey, Google or something.
most people are babes in Christ and they're not taught to grow up in that, or they're taught something weird like grace without the real definition of what grace is. It's your Google thing.
Because I just said it.
Oh. Dang, that's a sensitive
I was thinking when I said it,
sensitive machine, huh?
The mic's off.
The mic's off.
They're listening
Weird.
to us, bro. They're listening to
Yeah.
It
us.
is listening, but
They
I
are
don't know.
listening.
Listen away.
But yeah, it's just like, we get born again and then we never really grow up. And then real life happens and we just stay in the cradle.
Well, there's it's like it's not grow up. It's like there's no father in each situation. Like the father in the family is supposed to bring you up into that. To the father in the church is supposed to lead you to the Father in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like none of that right now is taking place in any of the churches or in families.
Throw milk at him.
The father is
you're
receiving
supposed
less
to do.
responsibility in the family. His father is receiving less responsibility in the church.
Yeah.
So it's a woman focused thing nowadays. So
Mm.
it's easy to see how that can happen to a lot of men. To where
Well, and
they're
it's
not.
a lot of abandoned women. It's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
just trying to make do because the guy, is everybody has the same injury. A guy didn't show up,
Yeah.
and that's the story since Eden. Is the guy didn't show up the way he was supposed to,
Yeah.
and it's like, why didn't he? Because he wasn't showing up to meet God either. He didn't start that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's again, it's like a picture of what is this supposed to be, and it's like if church is this hobby, this module you add on to the rest of your life to round it out and make it more spiritual or the grounded or something, and that's been for generations. It's been for hundreds of years. People have looked at religion as something to add on to their life, but it's not the
To
center.
help them.
Yeah.
It's not the most important. It's like if God is real and you meet him, the only thing that makes sense is he's Lord of all, and that everything changes as far as he wants it to.
Yeah.
If he wants something to stay the same, then it does. But everything is subject to change because you discovered that God created you and that he has a purpose for your life and he's redeeming you, and that doesn't change everything. It's just retarded. It's like a retarded thing to think. Is like, I'm going to meet my creator and it's going to be a backseat event to what else is going on. No way. That just tells you you're playing a game.
Mhm.
You're lying to yourself. You're playing a game. You don't really think God's real. You're not really treating any of this like it's real. All these people that are setting up churches and
Podcasts.
it's just a clubhouse. They're just playing a game. They're not, that
Yeah.
pastor's not treating God like he's real. Those congregants aren't really treating God like he's real.
Yeah.
If you did, you'd look freaking weird, man. Like, that's what's happened with every serious follower of Christ since the first century.
Yeah.
Since John the Baptist, bro. People are like, what is wrong with that? Well, he figured out God exists, and nothing that we do in this life makes sense because everything else in the world is built on the idea that God isn't watching.
Yeah.
It's all the fool says in his heart, there is no God. So it's just, yeah, I think that divided hearts, maybe that's part of the anxiety, that divided heart. You're divided up,
Yeah.
you're spread all over the place. It's like, if
Mhm.
you'd really circle up on God, it's like Jesus is like, my yoke is easy. Like, throw off your crazy yoke, ripping yourself in 20 different directions, and just learn from me
Yep.
how to behold the Father in your life and join him in what he's doing and be in submission to the kingdom of heaven. And it's like, yeah, that's going to be way easier than all the stuff we're doing. But the terror that the devil has sown into us about letting go of his way of doing things, letting go of, I'm in control, and this is all that, letting go of all that false peace takes a supreme act of courage, and I think it takes a supreme act of patience from God to walk us through it, little baby steps, because
Yep.
you just can't face it. It's like being a father with a son. Is you have to walk your son through things you almost want to roll your eyes at, but you don't roll your eyes because you're like, to him this is heavy, and I'm going to walk him through this, and he needs it,
Yeah.
and some of us are, what did Paul say, like when he was talking about those who had met the risen Christ, and he said, and then me last of all, as like what was it, a stillborn fetus or something, like you fully translate it. It's like we're a little bit like that in growing up in the modern world, and how much society has put its hands into the dough of family and marriage and what fathers are, and so twisted that stuff up that
Yeah.
we're all like funky born, man children. Like, I'm trying to learn how to be a man, God, but I don't think we've been raised right for generations. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to come along and teach me how to do this. I'm gonna have to be. I probably should have learned a lot of this when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like 40. Can you teach me how? I like.
Yeah.
And then also to be able to accept God's patience in that, because we're just not going to be patient with
Yeah.
ourselves. I'm so late. you know.
Yeah.
And we got to trust that we do it at God's pace. He'll return. He'll return what the locusts have eaten if we'll do it His way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything else to say
Nope.
before we close up? Sure. All right. Good conversation, guys. Lord, we thank you for this time. I pray that you would help us to venture into these things the way you want us to. Lord, show us the areas of control. Show us the false peace and where you're calling us out into the storm. Help us to look at the storm. All the things we were talking about, Lord, bring up into our times with each other and with you. And we thank you for the fruit that it will bear as we take you serious in it. We love you, Lord. We thank you for this day. And I pray that you would bless Iona and those who are falling into this chat, maybe by in and out real quick. But I just pray that you would touch their hearts and call them into your kingdom. Amen.
Good stuff, baby boy. That was good.
Just having.
I'm so hungry right now.